Hello guys, this is Mohammed Al. In this video, I'll tell you about my journey as a software developer from start. So I began my career in 2012, and the first app that I created was by the name Select Whois. It was for one of the house building company in Netherlands by the name Moyen Wonen. So I developed an augmented reality functionality for them, which allowed the user to visualize their house after construction, and I was able to get a significant user base for that application, and it boosted the business of that company by 15%. And then I developed a game by the name Crush Bubble for a company by the name New Softwares, and the objective was that the advertisement for one of the company's product by the name Folder Lock was to be done by this game. So this game was particularly like Fruit Ninja, but the context was that the user has to pop the bubbles in different combination due to which he will score points. So with this game, I was able to boost the sales of the product by 5%. And then I went into the freelance career. In my freelance career, I worked for different companies. I worked for Aeroguest, where I worked on their room module, which includes online purchases, different functionality with respect to the hotel room, automatic check-in, and such stuff. And then I created an app by the name eSteth that was for the telehealth industry. And the concept was that the physician can get to diagnose their patients in remote places. And then I worked on a game by the name Funny Wings that was for the company by the name Digibit. It was basically a VR game based on Unity. So user can play this game with their iOS and Android devices by adjusting them into the VR headset, and then there were two motion detection sensors which I programmed on with the iOS and Android interfaces. So the concept was that the user can be able to fly with the wings with these sensors on. And then I joined a software house by the name Centric Source, where I worked on a product by the name Selfie Styler. So Selfie Styler was a quite unique concept of its time, and the idea was that user can get to rest his Android or iOS device on a flat surface. Now that device will guide him to switch the postures, and different images of the user will be taken owing to different postures, and on the basis of these images the optimal fit algorithm will calculate optimal fitting for the dress for the user, and then user can get to purchase from 15 different brands, which namely includes Nike, Adidas, and couple of other brands. User can get to purchase clothes, and those clothes will be custom fit to his fitting measurements and will be delivered to his doorstep. That was the idea. And then I worked on a startup by the name MoveUp. So MoveUp was basically based in Hong Kong, and the app was about finding part-time jobs. The idea was that user can get to find part-time jobs in his vicinity in Hong Kong by iOS and Android app. So I was acting as a mobile team lead in MoveUp, where I managed about three developers. One was iOS and two were Android. I was hands-on myself, and the number one thing that I did was to optimize the apps in terms of performance, as previously these apps were suffering from glitches and crashes. So I zoomed in on the actual issue by using different utilities that Xcode and Android Studio provide us, and I was able to diagnose the issues and fix them and restore the performance of the app. Apart from that, I worked on job search feature with respect to the maps. So maps were about 70% of the application. I also developed different features regarding gamification, which through which I was able to um, increase the user base by 15%. And then after that, I joined a software house by the name Good Core Software Solutions, where I was acting as a mobile team lead. I worked on legacy applications of that software house by the name Cybos Banking Conference App, a TNB application, and I developed about three apps from scratch, namely Go Play Safe. This app was both on iOS and Android, and the concept was that the user can get to check in into the golf courses throughout UK. And then there was an app by the name X Pharmacy. X Pharmacy is a pharmacy store in UK, So I designed the app for their riders, and the app has functionality like it helped the rider uh, to visualize on the map the delivery addresses, to recognize a parcel by means of QR code, to plan the routes, to take customer signature and stuff like that. So this app was for Android only, and then I worked on an app by the name Pick 10. So Pick 10 was a golf fantasy league application in which user can get to select his golf team, and then he get to compete with his fellow players. So there was in-app purchases which allowed the user to add different functionality to his competition. He can also have chat with the other users. And then after that, I was offered a job in UAE, and the company name was um, Shadow. So Shadow was basically a karaoke application that allows the user in Dubai to sing with about 50 singers in the MENA region. User can get to record his video feeds, and then with the help of in-app purchases, he can get to add different audio and video filters to beautify his sessions, and then he can share these sessions on his profile. He can share these sessions on his social media. So audio filters include the voice beautification filters, and the video filter includes augmented reality filters and image processing based filters. So my job in this application was to integrate the mechanism where user can get to augment his video feed, both the video and audio feed, um, with the help of the filters, which he can purchase with the in-app currency. So there was a concept of in-app currency by the name Shadow Coins, which user can buy for different amounts in the app. So I only worked on the iOS side of it, and then after that I was offered a job in Nagaro. So Nagaro deployed me to a bank in Abu Dhabi by the name Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, where I was working on the onboarding feature of the bank. It was right in the wake of Corona epidemic, and I worked on onboarding. I worked on KYC feature. I worked on payment and transfers feature of the banking app. I was working on iOS application as a senior iOS developer, and I was working with Swift. I was following MVVM and TDD approach for coding the app, and then I was during this time, when I was working on this application, this bank, Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, was given the award of best bank in MENA region. It was due to the combined effort of the team that we received that award. And then after that, I was offered a job in London in a company by the name Kaleido. So Kaleido was basically more or less like LinkedIn, but the difference was that it uses machine learning inference to make connections between relevant people. For instance, if I am a recruiter and I have to hire a candidate, then I can start a session that we called quests. In quests, I will be able to connect with the relevant candidates based on their experience, skills, feedback by their peers, and their past performances, and I'll get to uh, assess their skills and hire them. So my work was particularly related to Quest feature, where I developed functionality where I integrated the machine learning APIs into the application, um, and I also worked on the chat module side of it. I was acting as a mobile team lead in Kaleido, and I managed about two developers, one Android and one iOS, and I was also responsible for overall architecture of the application. I was using MVVMC in Kaleido, and I was working on CI/CD side of it, as well as there was about 90% code coverage when it comes to the code base. I was also working on the Flutter application, that was Kaleido Flutter application, that acted as a dashboard which showed different statistics with respect to Kaleido application on the desktop. And apart from that, I worked with Golang as a backend developer as well in Kaleido, where I worked on different APIs related to machine learning that were ultimately integrated with the mobile apps. And then I was hired by a company by the name Scoof in Berlin, So Scoop is basically a piano learning application which allows you to learn piano on your own pace. So there are different difficulties like easy, normal, and expert level. So you can basically practice different songs with the help of the iOS application. You can tether your MIDI or piano devices with the iOS device and Android device, um, and you can get useful feedback to learn piano in real time. So my work was basically on iOS module in Scoop application, where I worked with the Kotlin multi-platform and Swift UI. I was following MVVMC um, as an architecture, and the approach that I was using was TDD. I was using Quick and Nimble for behavior-driven testing, as well as I was working on CI and CD side of it. And yeah, that's pretty much about my experience. Apart from that, I have also worked on creating different tutorials on my YouTube channel. So I'm a very active YouTuber when it comes to posting new stuff regarding Apple's technologies. So you can view my YouTube tutorials as well to know more about me. So yeah, that's all pretty much about me, and I look forward to add value to your application and bring your idea to fruition. Please DM me for having the in-depth discussion about that. Thank you.